5 health checkups you should avoid after 70. That may harm you more than help. If you're over 70, I'm about to say something that may shock you. More tests do not always mean better health. In fact, some routine health checkups after 70 can increase anxiety, trigger unnecessary treatments, and even shorten quality of life. After the age of 70, something dangerous begins to happen quietly, not inside the body, but inside the healthcare system itself, and almost no one talks about it. We are taught our entire lives that more testing means more safety, that more scans mean more certainty, and that more checkups mean longer life, but aging changes the rules. And when the rules change and no one tells you, people get hurt. After 70, the body does not respond to medical intervention the same way it did at 40 or 50, yet the testing often becomes more aggressive, more frequent, and more invasive. This is where the paradox begins, because for older adults, more tests do not automatically equal better health, and in many cases, they quietly increase harm. After the age of 70, the definition of health quietly changes, but almost no one explains this shift, and that silence costs people their independence. For decades, health has been reduced to numbers on paper, cholesterol levels, bone density scores, blood pressure readings, and scan results. Yet science now shows that after 70, these numbers lose predictive power, while something far more basic becomes the strongest determinant of survival: function. How strong you are, how well you move, how stable you feel on your feet, and how quickly you recover from stress now matter more than almost any lab value a doctor can print. Large population studies reveal a shocking truth. Grip strength predicts mortality better than cholesterol levels in adults over 70. Walking speed predicts survival better than blood pressure. The ability to stand from a chair without using your hands predicts longevity better than many cancer screenings. These are not fitness slogans. These are peer-reviewed findings published in gerontology and medical journals across the world. Strength is no longer about aesthetics. After 70, strength becomes biology's insurance policy. Muscle is not just tissue, it is an organ system. Skeletal muscle regulates blood sugar, controls inflammation, supports immune function, protects joints, stabilizes bones, and even communicates with the brain through myokines, chemical messengers released during movement. Research shows that muscle loss accelerates after the age of 65, and by 70, inactivity can strip muscle at a rate of up to 1% per year or more. That loss is not cosmetic. It is directly linked to falls, fractures, hospitalization, and early death. Here's the part that almost no one talks about. Most age-related decline blamed on aging itself is actually caused by muscle disuse and undernutrition. Studies comparing active older adults to sedentary ones show dramatic differences in metabolic health, brain function, and immune resilience, even when both groups have the same diagnoses on paper. Two people can share identical lab results, yet the one with more strength and balance will almost always live longer and live better. Balance in particular becomes a matter of survival. Falls are the leading cause of injury-related death in older adults worldwide. 1 in 4 adults over 70 falls each year, and the consequences are devastating. A single fall can trigger a downward spiral of fear, immobility, muscle loss, and dependence. Research shows that balance training reduces fall risk by up to 40%, far more effectively than medications or protective devices. Yet balance is rarely measured in clinics, even though it predicts independence better than most tests. Mobility tells a similar story. The ability to walk confidently, change direction, climb stairs, and recover from a stumble reflects the integration of muscles, nerves, joints, and brain function. Studies have shown that reduced walking speed is associated with higher risk of dementia, cardiovascular disease, and mortality. In other words, how you move today predicts how you will live tomorrow. No scan can tell that story as accurately as movement itself. Nutrition is the silent partner in this equation. After 70, appetite often declines, digestion slows, and protein intake drops, yet protein needs actually increase with age. This mismatch accelerates muscle loss. Research shows that older adults require higher protein intake per kilogram of body weight to stimulate muscle protein synthesis compared to younger adults. Without enough protein, exercise cannot rebuild tissue, no matter how motivated someone is. Food becomes medicine, not in the abstract, but at the cellular level. Whole foods rich in protein, healthy fats, vitamins, and minerals support recovery, hormone balance, and immune defense. Omega-3 fatty acids reduce inflammation and improve muscle responsiveness to training. Vitamin D supports muscle contraction, balance, and bone integrity. Magnesium supports nerve signaling and energy production. These are not supplements chasing trends. These are nutrients repeatedly shown in studies to protect function and independence in older adults. Energy levels tell another critical story. Chronic fatigue in older adults is often blamed on age, yet research shows it is strongly linked to inactivity, poor nutrition, and sleep disruption. When people move less, mitochondria, the energy factories of cells, become less efficient. Exercise reverses this decline, even in the 8th and 9th decades of life. Studies have demonstrated that resistance and balance training improve mitochondrial function, insulin sensitivity, and overall vitality in adults well into their 70s and 80s. Perhaps the most underestimated factor is recovery. The ability to bounce back from illness, stress, or injury defines resilience. Resilience determines whether a minor setback becomes a temporary inconvenience or a permanent loss of independence. Strength training improves recovery by increasing physiological reserves. When muscles are stronger, the body can afford to lose some function temporarily without crossing the threshold into disability. This is why stronger older adults recover faster from surgeries, infections, and hospital stays. The science of aging now points to a powerful conclusion. Longevity is not primarily extended by detecting disease earlier, but by delaying the point at which the body can no longer adapt. Adaptation is built through repeated exposure to manageable stress, movement, load, and recovery. This is the same principle used in athletic training, now applied to aging biology. The body does not fail because it is old, it fails because it is underprepared. What makes this message urgent is that function is trainable at almost any age. Research consistently shows that adults over 70 can gain strength, improve balance, increase muscle mass, and enhance mobility with properly designed programs. These improvements are not marginal. They are life-changing. Increased strength reduces fall risk. Better balance restores confidence. Improved mobility preserves autonomy. These outcomes matter more to quality of life than nearly any test result. The healthcare system often reacts to decline after it occurs, but science shows decline is preventable. Functional capacity should be treated as a vital sign. How strong you are, how steady you are, how well you move, how quickly you recover. These markers tell the truth about aging far better than numbers that fluctuate on a lab report. The most shocking realization is that many people spend their later years chasing perfect test results while their muscles quietly weaken, their balance erodes, and their independence slips away. They are told they are healthy because their numbers look good, yet they struggle to climb stairs, fear falling, and feel exhausted by simple tasks. This disconnect is one of the greatest failures of modern health messaging. After 70, the goal is not to become medically perfect. The goal is to remain physically capable. Strength, nutrition, balance, and movement are not optional lifestyle choices. They are survival tools. They protect the brain, the heart, the bones, and the immune system simultaneously. No pill or scan can replicate their combined effect. The final truth is simple but uncomfortable. The body does not reward passivity at any age, but after 70, the cost of passivity rises sharply. Every day without movement, without adequate nutrition, without challenge, the margin for recovery shrinks. But every day that includes strength, balance, nourishment, and purpose pushes that margin back. Health after 70 is not found in more tests. It is built in daily actions. And those actions determine not just how long you live, but how fully you live until the very end. Scientific research shows that as we age, the body's ability to repair damage slows dramatically. DNA repair becomes less efficient, tissues heal more slowly, and the immune system responds with more inflammation and less precision. This matters because many common medical tests are not neutral. CT scans, biopsies, invasive screenings, and follow-up procedures all create physical stress. A full-body CT scan can expose someone to radiation equivalent to hundreds of chest X-rays, and radiation damage accumulates. In younger bodies, repair mechanisms often compensate. In older bodies, that damage lingers. Studies published in medical journals have shown that unnecessary imaging increases cancer risk over time, especially in populations with reduced cellular repair capacity, which is exactly what happens after 70. Then there is overdiagnosis. One of the most underreported threats to older adults. Overdiagnosis means finding abnormalities that would never cause symptoms, never shorten life, and never require treatment. Yet once they are discovered, they trigger a cascade that is almost impossible to stop. A harmless shadow becomes a follow-up scan. The scan becomes a biopsy. The biopsy becomes a surgery. The surgery becomes complications. Research from large population studies has shown that overdiagnosis rates increase dramatically with age, particularly for prostate cancer, thyroid abnormalities, lung nodules, and slow-growing tumors. Autopsy studies reveal that many older adults die with cancer, not from it, yet modern screening often treats every finding as a ticking time bomb. The emotional damage is just as severe as the physical harm. A diagnosis, even a questionable one, rewires the brain. Anxiety rises, sleep quality drops, stress hormones remain elevated, cortisol stays high. Chronic stress is not harmless, especially in older adults. Elevated stress hormones are linked to muscle loss, immune suppression, memory decline, and increased fall risk. Studies show that older adults who perceive themselves as sick after testing decline faster than those who focus on function and independence. A test result can quietly steal years of quality life without adding a single year to lifespan. False positives are another silent danger. As the body ages, normal changes in tissue density, blood markers, and organ structure become more common. Many tests are calibrated for younger populations, meaning that what is normal aging is often misread as disease. This leads to false alarms that send people down paths they never needed to walk. Research has shown that false positive rates for cancer screenings increase significantly after 70, yet the survival benefit from detecting those conditions drops sharply. In simple terms, older adults are more likely to be told something is wrong and less likely to benefit from finding it. There is also the issue of treatment tolerance. Even when a test identifies a real condition, the body after 70 often cannot tolerate the treatment the same way it once could. Surgeries carry higher risks. Anesthesia affects cognition. Recovery times stretch from weeks to months. Hospitalization itself becomes a threat. Medical literature refers to this as hospital-associated decline, where older patients lose strength, mobility, and independence simply from being admitted. One study showed that up to 30% of adults over 70 experience significant functional decline after hospitalization, even when the original issue was minor. What makes this more disturbing is that many routine tests continue out of habit, not benefit. Guidelines often lag behind aging science. Doctors are trained to detect disease, not always to weigh whether detection improves life. Large-scale reviews have shown that for many screenings, including certain cancer tests, the time required to see benefit exceeds the remaining life expectancy for many older adults, meaning the person bears the risk but never lives long enough to receive the reward. This is not pessimism, this is math. The body after 70 operates on a different hierarchy of needs. Strength matters more than numbers. Balance matters more than biomarkers. Independence matters more than early detection of conditions that may never progress. Research consistently shows that muscle mass, grip strength, and walking speed are stronger predictors of survival than cholesterol levels or imaging results in older populations. Yet these functional markers are rarely tested in clinics because they don't generate procedures, prescriptions, or follow-ups. There is also a nutritional and metabolic cost to excessive testing. Fasting for blood work can destabilize blood sugar. Repeated stress responses worsen insulin resistance. Inflammatory responses from procedures accelerate muscle breakdown. Sarcopenia, the age-related loss of muscle, is one of the strongest predictors of mortality after 70, and unnecessary medical stress accelerates it. Studies show that older adults lose muscle rapidly after medical interventions, and many never regain it. The most shocking truth is that longevity after 70 is less about finding problems and more about preserving resilience. Countries with the highest healthy lifespan do not test more. They move more, eat better, and medicalize less. Research on centenarians shows that many lived long lives without frequent screenings, but with strong daily routines, stable nutrition, and consistent physical activity. They avoided the spiral of overtesting that turns healthy people into lifelong patients. This does not mean medicine is the enemy, it means precision matters. Testing should be driven by symptoms, risk factors, and function, not fear. The question should never be, what can we find, but will finding this change outcomes in a meaningful way? Science increasingly supports this shift, yet public messaging has not caught up. After 70, health is not protected by more appointments, more scans, or more diagnoses. It is protected by strength, movement, nutrition, sleep, and purpose. The greatest risk is not what goes undetected, but what is unnecessarily discovered and aggressively treated. When the body is older, every intervention has a cost, and not every cost is worth paying. The most powerful realization is this: medicine saves lives when used wisely, but after 70, wisdom matters more than vigilance. More tests can make you feel proactive, but feeling proactive is not the same as being protected. True health at this stage of life comes from knowing when to act and when to leave the body alone to do what it still does remarkably well: adapt, survive, and live.